Today I'm going to talk to you about a really important sales and negotiation skill, and it's the difference between active communication and active listening. So why is this so important when you're negotiating or trying to sell? Well, it's important in communication negotiation training. The term active listening and active communication often get interchanged or are used often. The two terms are similar in many ways, but there are some major differences. In learning how to become an active communicator and an active listener, and knowing how the two can play off each other, will help you achieve better outcomes in your negotiations, closing sales, and in your personal life as well. Here, first I'm going to give you a quick definition of what active listening actually is. It's a kind of technique that we use that includes both verbal and nonverbal cues. Nonverbal would be things like eye contact and nodding your head to show the other person you're making a real effort to understand them, and makes it easier for you to be trusted by them as well. Now, in active communication, the technique allows you to verbally and non-verbally communicate as well in a way that makes you more agreeable and easy to understand. Now, let's have a closer look at what are the differences between active listening and active communication. At a basic level, active listening is more you-focused. How can I get the other person to do something different? While active communication is typically more me-focused. What do I need to do differently? Though they are different, the premise behind each is actually the same. They both involve adjusting your behavior with a simple shift in mindset or attitude and a little use of emotional intelligence. You begin to focus on how to change your behavior will help you get a better response from the other person. So once you have an understanding of active listening and active communication, you'll begin to see how these two skills complement one another and play off each other. Active communication often creates opportunities for active listening. By setting the tone of collaboration from the beginning of the interaction, you create an environment where the other person begins to trust you and they want to return the favor of collaboration. Usually when someone gets a yes, they stop listening and the other side says yes or yes, but in many cases your brain shuts off after the yes and a lot of valuable information is lost somewhere in the ether. This is a huge red flag in negotiation, by the way. After you've nailed active communication, don't forget that now it's your turn to listen actively and intently on the other person's response. Remember, the real meat of the conversation isn't what comes out of your mouth, it's what comes out of their mouth. That's why we use labels and why labels are so important for active listening. Labels are saying things like, it sounds to me like this issue is really important to you. After a person gets excited or emotionally upset or something like that, they may very well realize and say, yes, that's correct, this issue is very important to me. But to them, they realize that you're listening to them and you're sort of understanding what they're thinking. And therefore, what will the result be? They will begin to trust you more. When you keep asking yourself what labels you're going to use in a conversation, your brain is focused on incoming information, not on what you're going to say next. You're focused on listening because you know you need those words that the other person is saying in order for you to make your next move in the negotiation. Now, here's some advice for those of you new to active listening and active communication. If you're new to this idea of becoming an active listener and active communicator, the mental shift could be initially a little bit challenging for you. Most people have been taught to go into a negotiation thinking they should immediately state their cause or their case, make their point. You have to stop thinking that way altogether. While there are times when you should definitely speak, first, your communication effort should always be focused on gathering more information from the other party. Understanding the value of listening is one of the first steps towards sharpening your negotiation skills and sales skills. Be patient with yourself and with the process. If you're not used to this approach, going into a conversation with the intention of understanding can seem like a big waste of time. But with this approach, you can collaborate and problem solve much, much faster with the other person. Differing opinions always take longer to solve than joint efforts when resolving a conflict. We always mean well when we have the solution and the implementation figured out for a problem. You would think that it would save a lot of time for both sides if we start out with the solution, no? However, with this approach, there's always the undertone of, I'm smarter than you. I know the problem better than you do. If your communication makes the other side feel this way, they will almost certainly dig in their heels. The negotiation table is where the solutions are created, not presented. Active listening and active communication builds trust. And active communication is a tool that helps the other person feel comfortable. Your timing and delivery of any communication is always imperative, so remember that. Another tool you can use is the use of silence, what I call the pause. And it's a really powerful tool when used correctly. The goal is to uncover the unknowns and get the other party to open up. An example of this could be in the form of thinking out loud in front of you, which gives you a prime opportunity to apply your active listening skills and gain deeper understanding and insight of the situation and the person's internal thinking. If you understand and know human nature and put more focus on understanding the other person, you will build rapport and trust, making your ultimate case that much more persuasive. Human beings want to help those they trust. Once you've made it that far, odds are the other person will end up already starting to consider how they're going to help you. A clue that a deal is getting close is when the other person starts suggesting solutions. I hope you've enjoyed this video about active listening and active communication and how it applies to negotiations. Check out our upcoming videos about communication skills workshops, stealth sales, and negotiation strategies. Leave your comments in the box below. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe, and again, thanks for watching and have a fantastic day. Take care.